There's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, alegria, Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show live stream and podcast. Now, I'm seeing I've still got on my screen there. Saúde! That was from last night. Why not leave it up? I read out a great guide to toasting when you're drinking in Portugal, and I'll make a little video of that. We had a great night last night trying the Alto Pina, a red wine from Setúbal. It was it's a great brew. And delighted to be in the company of the the amazing Austin brothers of Al Viagra, those incredible film producers, now retired and are just taking it easy and doing the occasional wine tasting. And the Whitbys were with us as well. They joined us actually from Setúbal, where the wine comes from the co-op by the name of Pagoish. This is one of the wines they produce. I was going to ask you, guess what I'm drinking this morning? I promise you I'm not drinking red wine just yet. This morning. I do like to wait for lunchtime to drink Portuguese red wine, but this Pagoish is superb. It's not the one we were tasting last night, but it's the same manufacturer, and they are an amazing co-op, Adega. They produce loads. They've won hundreds of awards, and they produce an incredible set of wines, and we had great fun tasting them last night. So I'll leave that sold on the screen for you. Cheers to you this morning. What I'm actually drinking, and I'd like to tell you about this company in just a moment after you've said a few hellos, is pure fruit juice, ananas, pineapple, of course, and ginger. What a lovely combination, and what an amazing company. I want to tell you about them. We've got Paul Richards in this morning, Andy Klein from South Africa. We've got Francis. João de Norte is limbering up in the UK and getting ready to join us at 9:30. We've got a bit of Tony time this morning from 9 till 9:30. He's got a busy day, but he's managing to squeeze us in. Who doesn't like a squeeze from Tony, our man in the Minho, on a Tuesday morning? So he'll be here. And we've got some privileged info on some great properties up there in the north of Portugal, showing you the great value that's available up there. And when we've concluded talking with Tony, João de Norte, we're pulling it forward a little bit, the Iberian FM Experiment, which seems to be going pretty well. More and more people are coming out as Iberian at the moment. Are you ibe-curious? Are you? If you're not up to speed on that, this is what's going on at the moment. Are you ibe-curious? Some people love Portugal, some love Spain, some can't decide. You might be Iberian. Stay tuned at 9:30 when João de Norte joins us, talking about his experiences of being a resident of Portugal and being able to pop across to visit the neighbours on the other side of the border. How easy is it? Is there a strict and rigorous border control, or is it a little bit easier than that? How is it engaging with Spanish people for the first time when you're a foreigner yourself in Portugal? So that's going to be fun talking to João de Norte. I think it's just bloating himself up, his words, not mine, on a full English. Or was it boiled eggs and soldiers this morning? Is that a British thing, or is that a no-no all over the world? The egg and soldiers. That's a fantastic breakfast, isn't it? A dippy egg, I think it's also known as. So thank you for being here this morning. Who else is here with us, as well as Paul, Andy, Francis, João de Norte limbering up. Coach Turner's in. The three wise men were in early. That's who you are, gentlemen. Coach Turner, James, the Fraser of this community, Holly, aka the Slug, and T-Duck, of course, the three wise men who are usually in at around 8 o'clock. Like the Council of Rome in their togas, just considering the day and setting everything up for you. We are so lucky to have them, that holy trinity of Coach Turner, T-Duck, and James the Slug, Holly. So let's see what... Oh, and Antonio F. and Lee McGrady have just joined us. Well, good morning to you, gentlemen. A lot of men this morning. Is there a single lady watching? Would you care to say hi if you're a lady to... gender balance the show this morning. Okay, I was going to tell you about Copper. Love this store. Had some of the tastiest potatoes I have ever eaten, certainly in a long while. This is copper. Oh, let me start outside the shop. When I'm in Cottage, which I often am, I like to come back on the Tornado Road, the famous Tornado Road. It ain't pretty. It's kind of industrial, and there's a Pingados on there, and I was looking for the wine. I couldn't find it, actually. I had to drink the Reserva, not had to. It was my pleasure to drink the Reserva. I'm not the normal Altupina, because I couldn't find it in Pingados. On the way to Pingados, coming out of Caldas de Rainha, you'll find one of these, and they are all over the country. Strangely enough, I'm talking to T-Duck this morning, and they're not in the capital, the Copper brand. Look at that, the Apple iconography. You've got Apple records, haven't you, from the 60s, the Beatles label, and you've got Apple products, of course, Steve Jobs. And look at Copper here with their Apple with a bite taken out of it. That's when all the trouble started. And they are closely allied with a brand that you'll have seen around Portugal, I think, in the supermarkets, because we're fiercely patriotic with our apple crop here, emanating from Alcobaça and this part, the Maçã de Alcobaça. Apples coming from this part of the country on the Silver Coast, going all over the country in those poly bags that you can find a bag of Maçã de Alcobaça, Maçã de Alcobaça, in most supermarkets around Portugal. And this is the epicenter. This is the company that's closely allied, as well as the apples. You've got the pears, of course, the Rocha do Este, which is a DOP. Look at that, an actual classification for the classic pear of the Silver Coast. So this is Copper, and I managed to pick myself up, which are on offer at the moment. And this is not product placement. I'm delighted to commend these to you. Oh, well, I'm not on product placement or a sponsorship deal yet with Copper. I'd be delighted to be. What an amazing company. Look, I'm drinking the Ananas e Gengibre, some vocab for you, and I've got more vocab, Portuguese vocab to come before we talk to Tony at 9 and check out the deep thought of the day, the Portuguese saying, and put the dad jokes to one side, ready for sharing. We'll share those with John later on. But yeah, look, we've got Tony at 9, we've got John at 9:30, and I'm talking about Copper now. We have Ananas e Gengibre, we have Massa e Maracuja. Come on, what do these mean? Test out your Portuguese vocab. And Manteiga, this will come as a pleasant surprise, I think, to some of our American viewers. They're Manteiga de amendoim. Amendoim, is that how you say it? There are some of these Portuguese words that you think twice. That doesn't sound right. Is that right? Amendoim. Com pedaços. I don't know what that means, pedaços, but I know that is peanut butter, and it's very good too. And it's $1.99 a jar. And these are really nice products. They're not, strictly speaking, bio or biologique or anything like that. I think some of their produce is bio in the store, but it's not all. But it's seriously wholesome. It's like when you step inside, it's like going to a farmer's market. Beautifully arranged produce, beautifully tasty. You can see those new potatoes at the back there. They were delicious. And is it because I had drunk perhaps a few glasses of red, and I really had a great appetite for the beautiful dinner that Mrs. Emma cooked, including those new potatoes, which were halved and soaked in Portuguese Azorean butter and added salt. There was salt in the butter, and there was added salt on those spuds, and they were delicious. So I heartily commend to you, and I'm going to try some of this. Make sure the top's on, Carl. I'm going to try some of this Ananas e Gengibre fresh juice, cold pressed, and it's 50% off at the moment. I've got myself a Honecker. You're feeling slightly hungover. I didn't drink a lot, but I did feel a little bit hungover this morning. It's those sulfites, isn't it, in the red wine? So here we go. Pineapple and gengibre. Very cleansing, I would say. Oh, top notes of pineapple and ginger. Oh, my word. Woo, that's delicious. This morning. Oh, got a Honecker to go with it as well. All right, deep thoughts coming in from all over the place. Let's check out what T-Duck has served up for us after we've had a bit of God squaddery. Morning, all you lovely people. Out early this morning as Mrs. T is off on a trip for a couple of days, and we'll grab a coffee together first. And the God Squad tip of the day. Team GB is... Oh, okay, you can do the extra bit. Team GB is pretty successful at sitting down sports. All right, enough now. I think Rishi Sunak will soon... We're so good at sitting down. Team GB is pretty successful at sitting down sports, and it's all thanks to Brexit. Let's not get started. Cycling, sailing, rowing, canoeing, and horse riding have all provided multiple Olympic medals. Does that say something about the Brits? That's really good. I'd never thought of that. So this week we're doing sitting down exercises, sitting with an upright posture. Lift your feet out in front of you. I can do this now until your legs are straight and parallel with the floor. There's a chair in my way on the other side of the desk. If Mrs. M was here, I'd be kicking her in the shins. And only because of this exercise, not because that's what I do. Hold for 5 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5, and then repeat up to 10 times. I'm not sure. I could do that now, but that's going to be quite distracting. But I am holding my feet up parallel to the floor. Great for my stomach muscles. Very good. Thank you, Coach Turner, for that. Please do try this at home. Build up gradually. If it hurts, stop. Bom dia, Gumpers. Feliz terça a todos. Quem tem feito. A nice way of greeting us. Thank you. Bom dia to you. Igualmente, contigo. James and a bon dia, Gumpers from T-Duck as well. The deep thought, deep fried, deep thought facts do not cease to exist because they are ignored. But if a fact falls over in the woods, Aldous Huxley, can anyone be there to argue with it, I wonder? I added that last bit in case you're wondering. Early in his career, Aldous Huxley published short stories and poetry and edited the literary magazine Oxford Poetry. Oxford Poetry. I imagine that's how they say it in Oxford. Oxford Poetry. Oh, life is bearing down so heavy on me. I think I'll write a poem. Portuguese saying, é muito fácil ficar bonito quando você não fez nenhum trabalho. I'm not going to try that again. It's really easy to look pretty when you haven't done any work. What do you mean? Wow. Okay, that's a work ethic Portuguese saying that will be going into the GMP VIP platform, where I am collecting all of these along with the Quem Sabias, which just coming up. Talking to the GMP VIP platform, no ads, pure focus on Portugal, mutual help, a real network. And Vitor's popped up over there with this as well. A quick tip: when ordering drinks, you'll usually be asked if you want it fresco or natural. I've noticed some people, says Vitor, think it means sparkling or normal water. I did think that when I first got here. Others, if it's tap water or bottled. What it means is fresco is cold, natural is room temperature. There you go. Now you know. Good luck and have fun. Your Portuguese ally, Vitor. Bless him. He moves amongst us at the GMP VIP platform, dishing out pearls of linguistic wisdom like that. Thank you, Vitor, for that. Thank you very much indeed. Right, let's go to Quem Sabia. Who knew then? Portugal produces a wide variety of crops. Love these, T-Duck. Thank you so much. Portugal produces a wide variety of crops and livestock products, including tomatoes or tomate, or tomatoes if you're British, citrus, rice, wheat, barley, maize, olives, nuts, cherries, grapes, mushrooms, poultry, and beef. Portugal, did you know this? Portugal is the top producer of cork. I knew that, and I was reminded seeing this this morning. A top producer of carob in the world. Isn't that amazing? Portugal is so quiet about its achievements, isn't it? Accounting for about 50% and 30% of world production, respectively. So 50% of cork production, 30% of carob production in the world. I imagine carob would come from Africa for some reason. And I'm not falling for it. It's still not as good as chocolate, proper chocolate. Is it carob chocolate? But I imagine we're eating it in ways we probably don't even know about. Are there any carob fans here? Are there any chefs here? Are there any food scientists here who understand how carob makes its way into our diet? But top producer of cork and carob in the world, probably by a long way, right? And isn't it great when you're drinking Portuguese wine that you're actually pulling Portuguese cork out of the bottle and not one of those horrid plastic things that a panda or a polar bear is going to choke on at some point. The country is also the third, not a laughing matter. The country is also the third largest exporter of chestnuts and the third largest European producer of pulp. Not the 90s pop sensation, because they came from Sheffield, where I lived for a long time. Portugal is among the top 10 largest olive oil producers in the world. Amazing. Well done, Portugal. Modest as ever. I imagine if it was our Spanish neighbors, they'd be shouting about it from the rooftops. Like they do everything. Iberian FM, check it out later on in the show. Thank you very much for the dad jokes as well. Love that, Quem Sabia. Well done, Portugal. You rock. with your production of incredible, beautiful, delicious things that we take for granted, or we can take for granted. So let's spare a thought for all those wonderful things that Portugal creates, produces. And of course, many are available at Copper. And it really does sound now like I've got a sponsorship deal, but I haven't. All these lovely, you can buy olive oil there. They do a great olive oil if you're looking for a local, less mass-produced olive oil. They got it there as well. And loads of dried things, like, which doesn't sound very appetizing, but dried nuts, seeds, dried fruit, beautiful selection of food. And I've been wanting to promote and share that with you for a long time. There you go, Copper. At the Copper. We could make a new theme tune, could we not? Not the Copacabana, but the Copper Shopper here in Portugal. What's this? Oh, amazing. I've just discovered that I was going to call him my Chinese artist. I do feel closely bonded to Ai Weiwei. He has a home in the Alentejo. And happy birthday to my daughter, Gloria, yesterday, who lives in Italy, who also sent me a word of, I think, an exhibition of Ai Weiwei over there in Bologna, I believe. So Ai Weiwei popping up all over the place. Good morning to you. I wonder if he tunes in, if Ai Weiwei tunes in for inspiration for his latest artwork. This one I call Gumpers. I wonder, what would an artwork look like if it was inspired by the Gumpers? I wonder. It would be beautiful. It would be wise. It would reek of wisdom and beauty, would it not? I'll leave the rest of that thought process to you in the chat, please. João de Norte is competing with Aldous Huxley this morning. Don't let the grass grow under your feet unless you're growing grass, which he is at the moment. Good job. Bom dia, alegria todos. Feliz terça-feira from Francis. I love it when you speak to us in Portuguese, Francis. How are you doing? How long? How is that countdown going? Let us know in the chat, if you will. Good morning, everyone, from Andy Klein in Aveiro. Paul Richards in the Algarve. Lee McGrady, probably on a street in Lisbon, taking a break, having a coffee and a smoke, just watching the world go by for a moment. Tim Cook will probably sue over that logo. Let's hope not. I don't want to bring that to his attention. Does Tim Cook watch the Good Morning Portugal show? And if he does, it'll probably be on one of his sleek devices, of course. Antonio, good morning to you. Bom dia todos. Bom dia to you, my friend. Chunky with pieces. Yes, this cold-pressed juice is chunky with pieces. I can still feel the ginger burning the back of my throat. Here we go. A phonetic pronunciation of amendoim. But it's not a I think. Not to be confused with amendua. Certainly not. Thank you. We're going to Caldash today, says T-Duck, and we'll check out this store. I think you will be glad you did. Thank you for more vocabulary here. This is fantastic. Amendoim is peanut. Amendoa is almond. Amendoim. Is it okay to have a bit of a doing at the end of that, Antonio, to help me remember it? Amendoa. Amendoa with a circumflex on the E. Shorten that E, amendoa, and amendoim. How am I doing there, Antonio F? Thank you. Bless you. Bless you for bearing with us on this terrible pronunciation that we insult your language with. Thank you so much for being here with us. And James, and don't forget your potato sacks. It's probably a great place to get potato sacks, and think about adding a potato in there from time to time if it is part of your weight-bearing fitness regime, a la God Squad. Bon dia todos from Jim as well. And what's this? Which ones? The 3 kilo, 5 kilo, 50 kilo, or it's the empty ones. Definitely starting with the empty ones. Marcus is in. Marcus, you look like you've been busy recently. How are you? Bon dia alegria from Marcus PT Country Bear. Do you like how my beard's coming on, Marcus? I thought you might. It's like short on top and beardy here. Is there a description for that, I wonder? Am I a bit of a country bear myself here? I wonder. I'm not entirely sure. Always begin with empty, and then you could. Oh, this is with the potato sacks. Always begin with empty, and when you can, complete one set of 10 reps, and then add a potato after that. Yes, go steady. Take it easy. I must say, says João, I still have my childhood skills to properly top my eggs and soldiers. Oh, there's somebody you need on a desert island. Somebody who can take the top off a boiled egg correctly without smashing it up and spilling the yolk everywhere. And of course, at the end of it, this is as boring for my children as saying to them, hi, hungry, I'm dad. When they say, dad, I'm hungry, is also the prank of turning the egg upside down. Are there people like me here who still do that? to prank anyone who will indulge them with that. I hope you enjoyed your eggs and soldiers this morning. Ocean Dweller is here. Hola, bon dia a todos. Hope you're feeling better, Ocean Dweller. How are you this morning? And what's this? I'd love to see the painting titled Riot of Gumpers by Ai Weiwei. Doing is 2 syllables. Thank you very much. Carl, you're very well in the amendoa, but you have to lose the spring. Oh, I can't do amendoing. Looking good. Thank you very much. And good morning from Darren. How are you? Thank you for the video of Matosinhos. Your videos are very fast, Darren. I think are these millennial videos? Chop, busy. We've got to get these videos up online and watched very quickly on TikTok. My videos, by comparison, are so leisurely. You can have a little snooze halfway through. Many people do, I'm sure. Darren, I love your quick fire videos. Keep them coming. A beauty of Matosinhos. Thank you very much. Morning all from Owen. How you doing, mate? And Ocean Dweller feeling much better today. Thank you. I am so glad to hear that. Couple of things to share with you then before we welcome Tony onto the screen. We had, I like this meme this morning that I put up before the show. Do we like these? I like them. I like them a lot. Kim told me to take the spider out instead of killing it. So we went out, had some drinks. He's cool. He wants to be a web designer. And while we're on terrible jokes, where's James's this morning? Yikes. Did I delete it like it deserved? Quite frankly, or is it here somewhere? James, where is it? I can't find it. I'll have to come back to that later on. Okay. The other thing I wanted to show you is this beautiful carpet that was made on the 2nd of April. This is a town that I think gets overlooked, actually. It's a fantastic castle that's well worth a visit. This is Porto de Mos, and the Tapete Florido marca inicio de Semana Santa in Porto de Mos. The population have created this incredible carpet of flowers. Look at that. What absolutely wonderful. That was on Sunday, the 2nd of April. I mean, it's beautiful. It's a mandala, isn't it? It's a Portuguese mandala for the entry of Jesus into the town there symbolically. Fantastic. Look how long it is and how much beautiful work has gone into that. And of course, the rain and the wind will just blow it away ultimately. That is the nature, is it not, of the mandala? Absolutely superb. Thank you very much. Oh, and this I thought was rather funny too. Not that I thought the carpet of flowers was funny, but I thought this certainly was funny. Can you imagine you're traveling and opening your passport at the airport and you gave your kid a few things to busy themselves on the aeroplane, and they took advantage of the situation with a permanent pen, by the look of it, a Bic, and adorned your passport? I can't imagine. What I imagine would happen here with a American, those very poker-faced American immigration officials, looking at the passport, looking at you, looking at the passport, looking at you. Your heart begins to beat, your palms sweat. Is there a problem, officer? Well, yeah. Have you seen your passport, sir? Oh! Right. As you look down to your kid who's holding your hand with a smile on their face, proud of the additions they've made to your passport. I think that's fantastic. I have found, another look for you at those Aldidas. We didn't answer this, did we, yesterday? Please give tips about how to dress and act so we don't get pegged as tourists. Oh, Tony might have something to say about this, other than the obvious ones like not taking selfies in pedestrian traffic. Yeah, don't do that. And don't wear these thongs, flip-flops, Philippe-flops, Aldidas either, and certainly not with socks, because that will mark you out as a tourist as well. I found James's visual dad joke this morning. Here we go. A frog parking only in this lake. Is that an American sign? I think it is, isn't it? Frog parking only. Excuse me. The ginger is continuing to burn my throat. Maybe that wasn't such a good idea to have cold pressed, 100% cold pressed, raw and fresh. My throat is feeling raw and fresh now. It's delicious, but my goodness, it's very vibrant and dynamic on the larynx. Frog parking only. All others will be towed. Oh my goodness. Okay, and a message or two from the YouTube channel, and I have to say again, the platinum visa was an April Fool joke. I'm still getting comments. Bobby and I did a video responding to it. It's had about 600 views now on the YouTube channel. And he kept a straight face all the way through, and he was commended for that. Mr. S, I think they should call it instead the Black Centurion American Express visa. Nom de plume. I'm really gullible. Only an Irishman and Carl could do this. I was already spreading the news, was wondering how the government would get the gold to gold plate. For Americans, this new platinum visa automatically extends the NHR 10-year period. Somebody getting into the spirit of it, that was Jess, to 20 years and can be further extended to lifetime if investments are paid in US dollars. So naughty. Yeah, 3 for the road. Best part is how Bobby can keep a straight face while describing it. And of course, it's in very poor taste. Some people took badly to it, and I understand that as well. Somebody, Coach Turner, thought Iberian FM was an April the 1st announcement. No. It's for real. And then we've got somebody asking, where can I access the platinum visa rules? It's a joke. It was a joke on April the 1st. I thought it was searing political satire. I thought it was taking a chunk out of how the political minds work. Not just here, all over the world. But that was missed by some people. So there are no rules for the platinum visa. Oh, my God. It should have had more jokes in it, should it not? Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, it's not real. It was an April Fool joke. And on this whole thing about being Iberian and are extending the love across the whole peninsula, Tom Smith says, if you think about it, the Iberian Peninsula is an island. We live on an island here, folks, thanks to the Gironde River and the Canal du Midi, which, of course, will be the French border of, like a natural border, the Canal du Midi, I'm guessing, and the Gironde River. And that comes, round France and into Spain and keeps Spain disconnected from Italy? Is that how it works? Would you agree? Geographers among us, amateur geographers, just like everything else, I'm not an economist, an immunologist, or whatever, pharmacist. But you can have a go at being a geographer this morning. That's not going to upset anyone too much, is it? Is the Iberian Peninsula an island, if you think about it in that way, I wonder? So we will continue the Iberian love, Viva Iberia, in the Iberian FM section, which we brought forward to 9:30 this morning. But it's coming up to 9 o'clock now, and it's time for an abrazo from the north. It is time for our dear friend, the man in the Mino. It is, folks, Tony time! Woohoo! Oh, you sat on one of those lovely Portuguese swings this morning, Tony.
Bom dia. That's here, Vila Nova de Cerveira. You always busted my chops about having the Algarve in the background, and I finally got around. I figured out how to change it, so.
Oh, top man. How are you this morning?
I'm good. I was just laughing, chuckling all the way home, and from even Saturday listening until now. People sometimes they don't know what they don't know. Yeah, let me get my platinum visa too. Do you have a limit on that? Maybe it's a. Do you have a spending limit?
Well, you'd have rumbled it straight away, I'm sure. But it's still running, Tony. So maybe it might be one of those things, but by constant affirmation, it'll actually make it into the political landscape here. I hope in many ways politicians don't see it and try and pick it up and run with it. We're in enough trouble already.
Yeah, and I'd love you sweeten the deal by throwing in a pastel de nata. I love that.
Lifetime supply, mate. Not just one, but a lifetime supply.
Lifetime? Oh, then it's no brainer. I mean, if there weren't enough reasons to move to Portugal, now you have a lifetime supply of pastel de natas. Life doesn't get better than that.
It doesn't get any better than that, does it? Right. So what's going on? We've got this wonderful swing that you presumably can go and visit, look over the river, see the vast landscape. Are we seeing Spain in the distance there, or is that a different orientation?
No, that's Spain. That's the Mino River. That's the Mino River, and it flows into. I always say that the Mino River, it embraces, and before it hugs the Atlantic, it smiles at Spain. It smiles at Portugal, and I said I'd love to pass through here every single day, and so they gives it a hug before it goes into the Atlantic.
Oh my goodness! Now, without wanting to be too maudlin, if you're ever needing your ashes sprinkling anywhere special and romantic, that would be quite the place to do it, wouldn't it? To be swept out, ultimately kissed by Portugal and Spain, and then thrown out into the wild Atlantic. What an amazing and romantic picture you paint there!
There you go. There you go. I'm a romantic guy. What can I tell you?
I know
That's
this.
the
And
first Tuesday of every month. Only on the first Tuesday of every month. You get me.
no, you've been busy, Tony. You've been writing amazing blogs about Portugal, as you always do. And I have to ask you, when was the last time you ate at home? Because every time I see you on social media, you're out with somebody or other having a fantastic Portuguese lunch or dinner.
Last time, probably. I can't even remember. I mean, maybe for Easter. I don't even remember. I remember Easter last year. I had lunch, or
Quick lunch
at,
at home.
at a friend's house. It's so cheap to eat out, inexpensive, and you enjoy. You have to come. It's one thing if you're making lunch or dinner for friends and you're inviting them over, and it's great, a barbecue or whatever. But to do it for yourself and cook. I don't mind the cooking, Carl, but I hate the cleaning. Then even just putting it in the dishwasher, that's a lot of work. So
Boring,
if but I love to cook. And I'll tell you something. People that really go out to eat a lot, they should know how to be a good cook because they could taste the condiments, what's there. I remember when it was during the lockdown, right, for COVID, and you're home and you're experimenting stuff. And so it's a great thing to be, like you remember that sensation when you had this dish somewhere, this dish somewhere else, and you try to replicate it at home. And it was a great thing. And I am a good cook. I had the best teacher, probably my mom. So
yeah. Oh, fantastic. What was your favorite dish that your mum made?
She taught me how to make a arroz de cabidela, which was something I hated. I could not, with the blood and the chicken and stuff.
Yeah.
It's an acquired taste, and I learned how to make that. I love to make bacalhau com broa. I love to make bacalhau com broa. That's with the cornbread above it and toasted. I love to make the grills, anything that's around the grills. I love to make like risottos and pasta dishes and just invent stuff. I mean, you don't need a lot, but again, the timing, it's you're out early you leave house, early in the morning, go to the gym, work out, etc. You're having a call at 9 or 10 o'clock, another call at 11. You're having lunch, and you're not going to come home, make lunch. Then you have a lunch meeting. I have a lot of lunch meetings. I really do, Carl. And that's what it is. Wonderful. I always say, you invite me to lunch or dinner. Don't invite me to work. So
quite right. We know this about you. What an amazing lifestyle you have up there in the north. And let's qualify this because Darren is asking, which part do you class as north? Now, Darren's up there in Porto and Matosinhos. She sent us a great video of Matosinhos, which is a lovely little suburb of Porto, really. When does north get north?
Well, Carl, I think from Porto and upward, it's still part of Spain. Most people have that idea. So let's just say that from... And so, but the north, I mean, you have the north, and you have the Minho. Okay, you have the Minho. You have the Trás-os-Montes area. You have the Douro area as well. So anything like from, if you imaginary line from the Douro River and up, that's for me north, because that's where things kind of change in terms of weather, as well, and even customs, right? Even cultures of people up here, very different from where even someone from the Minho is a little different than even the cuisine and the food, the dishes with somebody in Trás-os-Montes in the Douro Valley. Not that it's so much different, but there's different recipes. Like you're gonna have like the best sausages, right? The fumeiro and stuff. You got to go to Chaves or Vinhais, Trás-os-Montes in that area there, the mountainous regions, right? Yeah. Delicious, right?
Oh my goodness.
If you want to have like lamprey, you can have it even in the Tejo, you can have it in the Mondego, but from here you can have it all along the rivers, right? So we have the Lima, we have the Minho. So up here it's a little bit different, even the taste of it, and the further the lamprey goes up, for example, which is another dish I love to eat, the lamprey, which is another delicacy. And but from north for me is like from Porto and up. That's where I classify for me north. Because that's where we have our brothers and nuestros hermanos in Spain, where they love coming here, especially this week. This week, if you go to Braga, and it's the Holy Week, right? Before Easter, they have a big tradition there in Spain where even their kids are out of school and stuff, and they travel. And Braga's, the saying in Portugal: Braga prays, Coimbra studies, Porto works, and Lisbon, well, they get by, right? So, but in Braga, it's really...
I didn't know that. I've never heard that before. So,
I'll say it in Portuguese. Braga reza, Braga prays. Coimbra studies. Coimbra estuda. Porto trabalha. Porto works. Lisboa, they're there. They get by.
A nice little put down for the alfasas, right?
Alfacinhas.
Alfacinas,
So,
the lettuce people of the capital.
and
Wow, I've not heard that
when
before.
you're in Braga this week, or especially in this area here, Santiago de Compostela, very religious. I mean, Braga has lots of just episcopal cathedrals and then priests and bishops and everything. It's the city of bishops. It really is Braga, right? And so you get a lot of people that religious, more in the religious. They or whether the pilgrim walkers too, which is another big big events here throughout, like now the spring and summer, fall. It's a beautiful place if you love walking from Porto. You could start down as far as most people, when they fly into Porto. They walk up from Porto, Barcelos, Ponte De Lima, Valencia, all the way up to Santiago. And so it's a very religious time. There's there's two different paths, but you'll see a lot of holiday makers from Spain here, especially this week. But to mention on every single weekend, of course, but that's what makes it attractive up here. You have the best of both worlds. You know that, Carl? I love nobody does tapas like the Spanish. Nobody. I mean, like the jamon, and you've been. I mean, you can go to Andalusia and you can have the jamon, the pata negra. You can have it up here. Nobody does jamon like they cure it like the Spanish. Nobody in the world. And I've been to a lot of places in the world. Not even the Italians with the prosciutto and stuff. Nobody knows how to really cure it, and that's the secret behind the jamon, the pata negra. And that's why it's so expensive. It takes a long time to cure it, and they don't smoke it like we do. We smoke our hams. They don't. It's just there, and it just cures by itself. It's delicious. Nobody does it better than the Spanish. I love going there. I mean, I go there just to have a tapa, a jamon tapa, and a nice rioja or an alvarinho as well.
You're going to have to stop. We're talking about this food this morning. You got me at sausage in Cottage earlier on. And that's, of course, where they've got the wine bottles that they bury, right? Because they were hiding them from the Napoleonic army, weren't they, on retreat, I think. Not on spiritual retreat, actually having had a pasting, I think, heading home, but routing villages and stealing the wine. And in a certain village up that way, they hid the wine under the ground, didn't they?
Absolutely. And there's another striking something about the north here in this region. Portugal has a lot of history with the Sephardic Jews and in the Jewish faith, right? So Hebrew. And so there was you have like the fular de Páscoa. That's like that typical bread that comes
with the eggs.
If you go to some villages in Trás-os-Montes, there's quite a few. That's where it's born. You have where they make it. Even you have other along the Alentejo, other villages, but lots of villages. But there's certain things that come from ancient times that the traditions are still maintained. One of them is that as well. I mean, you say about hiding the bottles of wine from the Napoleons, but here as well, like there's a lot of small villages that still have that maintain the traditions, and you get like what's basic for Easter. You have that typical fular de Páscoa, right? Because it's a typical tradition where the child gives something. The godfather is responsible, right, for the child and stuff, and then the child would return or give him some money or something, and then the child would give the godparents this fular, right, like as a gift, as a symbolization. And so there's a lot of traditions here. There's all over Portugal. There really is. I mean, if you go down to Alentejo, there's a few beautiful villages that comes to mind. Monsanto, right, also for the Jewish faith, the Hebrew faith and stuff. So this week is a big, you have Easter, you have Ramadan, you have a lot of stuff going on everywhere in the world.
Very special spiritual time, of course. And the spring, for the, what would they be, the earth worshippers. It's a very holy, special time, of course, isn't it? The pagans, of course. Another definition of what's north, follow the clouds, says there. As somebody who loves the north, that's not a put down. Let's just catch up because we've got some lovely properties to look at, which we'll do in just a moment. But we have tips to not look like a foreigner as well, which is fantastic. Francis is saying he's within the 3-month countdown to come to Portugal. Pup got her rabies certificate to say all good to go every day, one step closer, heading to Porto. Fantastic. Okay, I managed not to hurt James's feelings. I did show his his dad joke, his visual dad joke. Phew, that was close. Those sandals you can wear on the way to football training. They are pretty special. They do look like footy wear, don't they? And then you change into your football boots thereafter. Your Aldi dashes there. What else have we got in the comments this morning? To look like a local. This is true, isn't it, Tony? Wear coats even when it's hot and sunny. That's what Portuguese people do. Not until summer do the coats come off. Pardon me for not replying if anyone sends a message. Deep in the working and a lurking this morning is Francis.
I will tell you that there's nothing wrong with being a tourist. I've been on a permanent vacation for more than 20 years, so there's nothing wrong with that. I wear shorts all year round, pretty much, and people still look at me kind of quirky and funny. Just be yourself, like wear a coat, okay, But I think you. And even in the weather, it's just how you are. But I feel I am a tourist. We're all tourists. I mean, everybody.
When you look at it like that, yeah.
We're on a permanent vacation, and that's the way you got to feel. So anywhere you go, you blend in. Of course, you try to, but you're never going to become. I'm never going to become a Portuguese. My culture is not from here, but I adapt to it. I love it, and I try to learn it, study it. Of course, I learned the language. I didn't speak Portuguese, and I speak it fluently. Well, good, very good now. But you learn the basic customs and cultures, so you're respectful of people, right? I'm not going to show up probably. Maybe to I don't know, Fatima or maybe a cathedral wearing shorts or something. You got to be respectful, right? Just say
well said. Oh, somebody remembers your Valentine's offer. You were calling yourself romantic. Nothing says romance like renting yourself out for Valentine's Day. We remember that, Tony.
Oh, I remember, and I got some offers, but I had to turn them down.
There's no like to north. Says Owen. He's from the north of England. He's loving the north of Portugal. Suze agrees. I agree. Nout. Aye, says Owen. Don't forget to hit that like button. Says Antonio, whether you're in the north or the south. So let's have a look at these lovely properties that you have in mind for us. This
remember one thing, Carl, and that's this area here, and people constantly telling me I'm gonna. I'm going to stop being your friend. Stop telling people about the Minho area, because it is one of Portugal's best kept secrets. So people don't know what they don't know. And so people get upset that like I'm sharing it. Like, you know what? There's so much room here for everybody, So
it's true, isn't it? It's true. And I do understand that. I mean, things change, don't they? But a bit like being a perpetual tourist, we're all visitors to the earth. And the story of humanity is that people move around and it does change things. And it's whether, I guess, we're conscious about that and we play a responsible and mindful part in that, or if we just let it happen. So, yeah, that's a fair caveat. And I do understand why people might want us to stop talking about the north. Look at this beauty up here, what you've described as Oh, is it gone already?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, we actually, that's a beautiful property. That's one of those traditional Minho homes. It's a colonial house. I mean, century old. It was fully renovated. If you see some of the interior pictures, been like not only maintained.
What a beauty!
But everything's done on the inside. It's got enough land if you want to put a pool and stuff. That's why properties here. This was it was on the market 260,000. Okay, there was a little bit of negotiation, of course, like everything else. But even if at that value, no wonder it's sold, right? Everything's about the value that you get, and this is just a fully done up property.
Yeah,
and the location is you're 10 minutes away. You're within walking distance to a train station. Okay, you're within your supermarkets. There's local cafes, in the village itself. Fun, small little country village, right? And but you from like Vila Nova de Cerveira, 10 minutes. From the center of Valença, 10 minutes. Your highway is like 5 minutes by car as well. You can walk to the train in 10 minutes. And it's a small little village that the people, know each other, and community, right? It's all about community.
Tony, I've got to say, with your properties, they are always so beautifully maintained and presented. I guess this is one of your signatures of how you go about doing what you do. They always look so beautiful, and the photos are fantastic.
I'm gonna have to. I can't take the credit for that. I'm a very, for me as the broker. Okay, as a broker, what do? I'm a dock connector. So anybody that wants to move here, whether they're moving to the Minho, to the Algarve, to Lisbon, anywhere in Portugal and all over the world, we send out referrals. I'm a CIPS realtor, certified international property specialist. So we work internationally. We have a group of realtors. But when somebody comes here, the very first thing they got to have, we have everything that goes behind the scenes. You don't see it. It's all thanks to my business partner, Anita Sosa. Okay. When you talk about the pictures, the videos, she was the one that kicked my butt. Get on Instagram, get on YouTube, get on this, get on that. I wasn't a social media guy. I really wasn't. And you come to figure out that in the last 2 years, how, especially COVID, you had to change the way you get your message about Portugal and what to do. And so everything that goes behind, when you see it, I'll make sure you give her, I'll give her those compliments, because she's well worth all of it. Everything that's behind the scenes that you can imagine. All I do is the social interaction with people, the first contact. And then I just kind of feed them off where they need to work with this agent or that realtor, that team member. It's up. So thank you. But really, it is her. She takes all the credit. And
please do pass that on, because I think it's really important as well. Like you can see, can't you, in some parts of the industry, people are just chucking up any old photos.
First impression. I mean, it's impression about you. It's about your business, about what you're selling. I mean, if you sell it, if you want to promote a property, and whether and everything is about the location, the information, right? But you have to present it. That's the first impression. You only get a chance to do that once.
Absolutely, it's the old saying, isn't it? You can only make you don't get a second chance to make a first impression.
And what's important is that you have to do it at a way where somebody gets there. It's the same, because usually the pictures are, and these are not treated or anything. These are just, she's a professional, right? She's a professional photographer as well, in addition to many other things. But when somebody looks at something, this is when they come to visit in real life. It's exactly what it is. It's not, oh, wait a minute, the pictures that make it seem bigger or this or that. No, it's reality, and so people are not disappointed. Yeah. And that's it adds credibility as well.
Well, these pictures are good quality and real. There's no empty or even full black plastic bags lying around the driveway, or bodies on the
bodies on the terrace, right? On the
you remember that one, don't you?
I remember that we were there with
I've got it somewhere.
Shout out to the bromance, right? And
I'm not going to put it on the screen and besmirch your. It doesn't deserve to be alongside these lovely photos here. So what have we got here? Spacious and beautifully. I mean, the lighting.
We might be closing on this probably sometime in the next 2 weeks or so. But this is to give you an idea: 4-bedroom house. 2 baths. It's got a nice. It was completely renovated, air conditioning, etc. Garage for 2 cars. It's got an area for a barbecue area. It's got about 900 square meters of land and a water. In addition to, it's along the Camino de Santiago. So somebody's buying it. They're going to be doing it for small Airbnb, well, like hostels overnight. For the Camino walkers.
Oh, I love the idea.
220,000 euros. I mean, what can you get for that?
That is very, very good value, isn't it? Superb. Love that. 4-bedroom.
Nicely all finished off, the double glazing on the windows. I mean, you could, it's a brand new home. It was all rebuilt, everything from scratch, rebuilt.
Valenza de Minho.
Maintaining its old charm, because it was an older house, right? It was an older house. People used to live there, so the new owners gave it a new life, and that's what it's all about.
And you've added a lot of light into that. Beautifully done. Really like that. Okay, so we're looking now at Vila Nova de Cerveira, an area dear to you, of course. And there it is, rustic stone cottage for renovation. So somewhat different here. This is all about the potential here, the P word, isn't it? But what a location! Oh, look at that location, Tony.
You see the river, you hear the river. I mean, if you're strong enough, you can throw your fishing cane and you'll hit the river there. It's the Rio Coda, okay? And the Rio Coda flows into the Rio Minho. Yeah, that's within 20 meters from the house.
You can hear that babbling away.
We sold a neighbor property. Little more piece of land, and this is the kind of property. If I had this, this is the gems where they're looking for, because it's the location. Everything is about the location, right? It's private. It's on a high up top. There's no houses. You have the view of everything else, And if I had a home there that was around 350,000 euros renovated, you'll spend about 200 grand to redo this house. So you're still buying it below market value, even if you get an architect, an engineer, and that's even. I always say it's our team. We never do anything. I can never do anything alone. It's everybody that's around me. I'm only as good and successful as everybody around me, and that's what's very thankful for that.
And that is going to be a beauty, isn't it? I mean, ultimately, what do you think that's going to end up as? How many bedrooms? I mean, it's got
Four
multiple
bedrooms,
buildings.
3 baths, swimming pool. Maybe a nice little Airbnb place, or holiday home, and rent it out when the people. These kind of homes. Somebody when picks it up, they use it sparingly throughout the year. They'll come and then they give it to us to manage it, and we have a nice rental income. Like you can rent this property out per week in the summer months, June, July, and August, guaranteed 10, 12 months. 1,200 euros a week at minimum, to rent this property out. So you have a nice rentability, the ROI, rather rentability, the return on investment.
Yeah,
so,
sure. What a lovely.
It's a gem because we had 2. One is gone. This one is the neighbor one, and it's once you can't find properties alongside the river. They're not going to permit you to build there. It's just you can't do it. It's reserved, and the only reason they allow you to do it is because you have the footprints there that existed, and you can renovate it. And the structure. What's good about this house? And a lot of the properties, although it is in a state of ruin, but if you you can't knock a wall down or kick it and it's going to come down the house. It's got the beautiful structure, and that adds the value as well to the house to begin with.
We had a very funny meme about, if you lean against a wall in some American properties, you go right through the dry lining, won't you? Whereas a Portuguese wall breaks your hand if you touch it, and I'll break your other hand as well if you try that again.
I remember, this is even before I lived here permanently, before I moved to Portugal. I always used to joke around, like, there was a lot of house fires in the cities and, in the States and stuff. And here, like I imagine, like, man, if the house burned, it would only go, the windows and doors would burn. Everything else
Yeah, I've seen that, and yes, I mean it's a devastating thing when it happens, but you've still got the main often in these fires that you see, the trees get taken out, and as you say, the woodwork, but the structure still stands. It's quite extraordinary. We have another to share. This is incredible. Love this. Oh, and Sarah's appreciating your approach, or your business partner's approach here. Beautifully staged, and beautiful property and staging. We plan to take a drive around that area soon. No cluttered counters and open toilet seats. She's got an eye for detail, has Sarah, and she'll love this one as well, I think. Look at this. Avant-garde architecture. We've got everything this morning. So what have we got here?
This is your typical modern home. Okay, spacious. It's humongous. Pictures don't do justice. The pictures don't do justice for this house because it's humongous. It is a big house. It's a 4-bedroom, 4-bath, swimming pool. Like, you have even the laundry area, the office space. There's a big office. The areas are just big. You have a garage for up to 3 cars, but you still have a parking area, covered parking area for another 3 or 4 cars, for example. Plenty of space outdoors. It's just, even the kitchen. Look at this beautiful kitchen.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Look at that.
You have this is it's even the quality of the domatic. Everything is like automated, right? So if the electronics, everything in the house, the shutters, all the modern that you can. There's too much to mention. I think I put it there. The whole list of everything that's included, that the house has the specialties, but it's just one of those houses. If you had this house for example, in the Algarve, in other parts of Portugal, it's all about the cost of the land, right? Because the house will pretty much cost, no matter where you're building it, it's going to cost the same. That's not going to change. But the land, and it would be a house that, probably having it 800,000 euros or so, 700, 800,000 euros would be nothing for a house like that. I wish I had. If I had this house, if we had this home, and I'm sure any other friends or realtors that are in the Algarve or other parts of Portugal, if this house was down there, they would say, you know what, forget 800,000, it'd be over $1 million, probably. Yeah. But I could say comfortably that this house, you won't find a house like this for 800 grand down in other parts of Portugal. And here you.
And is that what it's listed at here? 800.
No, 550,000.
What? Wow. Okay.
It's too much house. It's so much of a big house. I mean, we're talking the areas of the living spaces, right? The bedrooms. You have a 1 bathroom that not only has a bath and shower in it, right? One of the normally you have one or the other, right? This has a whirlpool bath plus a nice shower as well. Somebody It's just the space. It's a spacious 4-bedroom house that
I love the
even
design.
outdoor.
You drive in underneath it, presumably for the parking. This is new to me. Bold Cozinhas. This is a company that does these beautiful kitchens.
Mhm.
Wasn't aware of this company. They're working all over Portugal. Are they Bold?
Yeah. The quality, extreme quality. That's all
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can say.
definitely. Look at that. And I mean, it's built, isn't it? So you can appreciate the landscape that it's set in.
You notice there. Look, put it in the picture just to give you an idea. Okay, this kitchen here. Do you see an extractor fan? No, but there is
No,
an extractor fan up
there is.
above.
Yeah.
It's built in that automatically. You don't see it. Like you have that extractor. It's just there's a design, right? That's the difference between like when you say like okay, even the cabinets. There's a space there, refrigerator. A certain temperature that it recuperates from the solar energy panels and everything. Like it's high tech, modern.
Yeah. Very, very beautiful. Nicely done. And the location of this one, can you tell us more about that?
It's like even walking to the river, 5 minutes. Okay, to the Minho River. You're 5 minutes walking to the Minho River. 5 minutes walking to the train station. Again, 10 minutes from the center. Not even 7-8 minutes from the center of Valença, and another 7 or 8 minutes to Vila Nova de Cerveiras. Those are two big little areas. That area, but it's Dakota. That's where it's like a triangle. That's where I mostly we do our listings. We work all over Portugal, but we only list and appear in our office up in the north. This area here, and so really just strategically located. But you're within walking distance to the Echo. There's an Echo pista, right? A walkway that goes. You can go all the way from Monção all the way to Viana do Castelo on a bike or bike trail or walking trail. Okay, it's a big trail. So we're talking, like 80 kilometers, right, from Monção with the Alvarinho born, right, that grape variety. But then all along the river, all the way to Viana do Castelo, there is a bike trail or walking trail that you could do. And this is literally about 5 minutes walking from there.
Incredible.
Quality of life. This is a home
I could live in a place called Monção. I could be Carl Munson living in Monção up in the north.
There you go.
Made for me, wasn't it? Fantastic. Tony, these homes are beautiful. Soon we'll be going to the streets of York. Look at that. It looks like a scene from Harry Potter. That's where John is. But before we lose you this morning, you said, you referred to the Spanish, I think, as nuestro hermanos. What does that mean? What's that phrase?
Nuestros hermanos y hermanas, our brothers and our sisters.
Hermanos and hermanas. Okay, over there.
Nuestros hermanos.
Okay. And this clearly is I think we spoke about it briefly, didn't we, last week when you called in, but the whole this is like somebody described it as a two for one. Can move to Portugal, have Spain. If you're lucky enough to have Spain on your doorstep, that really does add a lot to the quality of your Portuguese life, does it not?
Absolutely. Whether you're here in the Minho, whether you're in Ayamonte and Vila Real Santo Antonio, whether you're in the Alentejo, right? Whether you're in by Viseu in that area or Guarda, having both cultures in one, like the proximity, and then for us, I mean, we look at it like there's a great market for potential because we help Portuguese buy in Spain and we help the Spain buy or move to Portugal as well. So we're working both sides and you can help them, but it's a little bit different in terms of real estate values. Of course, they're a little more expensive in Spain. That's why a lot of them choose to have either moving here. Somebody, for example, moves in this part of the region, they are literally, you can get to Vigo, okay, which is the big airport, big city in Spain, in the Galicia area. You can get there by train in less than 30 minutes. You can get there by car in less than 20 minutes. It's closer to the airport there. So people, even Spanish that can't afford to buy in the center of Vigo, they will buy here or even rent here, etc., because it's just a lot more affordable. And then, you could just jump back and forth. Hey, I could walk over the bridge. Let me get some tapas. Maybe I want to have a little bottle of wine from Spanish wine and stuff. And, and the Portuguese and the Spanish, they love coming to Portugal as well because the food is, if you come on a weekend or even yesterday, we went to eat out of this restaurant, which normally it's okay. There's enough number of people on a Monday, right? It's okay. Yeah. Nothing out of the order. But yesterday was just slammed with Spanish. And I looked around and I said, I explains it all. There's smaller children, it's holidays and stuff. And so it's the Spanish Holy Week, right? And so, but there's that big mixture of the cultures. And I love that. I mean, we speak Portuñol here. Okay. We speak
I've
Portuñol.
heard of this. Yes.
Portuñol. The Spanish will never speak Portuguese, but the Portuguese, we speak Portuñol. We go there, we try to speak a little bit of Spanish. That's a little bit different of the culture, but the Spanish are they're great, but they have their own national. They just forget about coming to Portugal and trying to learn Portuguese. Never. That's not going to happen.
Tony, always fantastic talking to you. Thank you for showing us those delightful properties this morning. Have a great day, our man in the Minho up there, and we'll see you next month, my friend. So good to always be hanging out with you. Take care. Bye for now. Have a great day. Bon dia.
Bon dia, everyone.
All the best to you. Ciao, ciao. And I'll put the link to your website so that people can follow you up on any of those lovely properties. There it is, infinitesolutions.pt. Tony, thank you so much. Bye for now. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you.
There he goes. Tony, our man in the Minho. Infinite-solutions.pt. If you want to look at those and many other beautiful properties that are beautifully presented. We are going to dabble in a little bit of Iberianism now. Oh, Carl Hyde's here as well. Good afternoon. What kept you? Antonio has been working hard. Nuestros hermanos in Spanish. Nossos irmãos in Portuguese, and our brothers in English. We're going to go to England in just a moment, but I think we need a little bit of this to get us in the mood for a little bit of talking about what goes on between the borders of Portugal and Spain from a man who's currently in England. We'll get our heads around that. How about that, John?
Hey, Carl.
Hi, good morning to you. You're in a somewhat sleepy-looking York, I think, this morning, and then we're playing that rousing music. Sorry if that was a little bit of an assault on your senses.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, I was having breakfast when the show was starting.
Oh, and you had eggs and soldiers.
Eggs and soldiers.
Top man.
Yeah.
Top man. So, how is it, John, over there in the United Kingdom? How have you been enjoying? Tell us where you've been first of all, and we'll get some pictures up on the screen as well.
Well, I'll give you a quick rundown of our itinerary because we were here for 2 weeks total, fortnight. So 3 nights in London, 3 nights in Oxford, 2 nights in Devonshire. 1 night in Wales, 1 night in the Lake District, and then 3 nights in York, and then 1 night at the Holiday Inn Express in Luton.
Oh, amazing. What an incredible itinerary. And I did compliment you on that, didn't I? And I was like, wow, did you do all of that? And you're like, yeah. I think you've got a gift for it. I think I might have sounded a little bit patronizing when I said that to you, but it's incredible what I think you've organized there. And I'll give you 10 out of 10 as an Englishman on your choices there.
A tad bit ambitious, but we've been to England many times before, but 3 times. Yeah, many is more than several. So several with 3. So several times. But they've all been in London area, and so we decided, okay, look, we want to see the British countryside and take in a lot, but I don't want to be in a different place every night. So we'll try to do 3 nights in different places, and with a couple of exceptions thrown in. Yeah. So we started off in London, and then Oxford was lovely. Oxford, there's so many things to do in central England. So we took the opportunity to get up to we stopped in Wallingford area initially. That's where what Blenheim Castle is, where
Churchill.
Yeah, Churchill, Earl of Marlborough area. Beautiful grounds you can walk around. Yes. It costs £35 just to park, but we didn't do that. We went into town.
They wash it for you for that?
Yeah, no. So we'd come into the gate, and it's like, we don't really want to park. So, is there an exit here? And he says, oh yeah, you just go into town, and then if you want to come in through the back way, there's a public access walking path. You can just walk in. And so so we parked in town and walked in the back gate. And of course, you don't have tickets to the inside, but just the grounds were immaculate, and it was just quite spectacular. So, very privileged to be able to do that for free.
How lovely! And this is what the Brits do best. I mean, you're obviously getting a lot of classic England and UK, aren't you, on your trip here? Is that what are you sort of steeping yourself in the history?
Yeah, so we stopped in Stratford-upon-Avon, which is just a little bit further down the road. Of course, that's where Shakespeare was born, and his wife's beautiful little thatched roof cottage, Anne Hathaway. Stopped there. That was actually
the Bard. I think the Bard was a fairly regular visitor to Anne Hathaway's thatch, I think, wasn't he?
Yeah. So there was over 13 generations of Hathaways lived there. They were tenant farmers and then became quite successful before losing it all. But then, so lots of interesting history about Shakespeare. And he was only 18 when he got married to her. Actually, they had a child before getting married, and so it was. It kind of led to him becoming what he was, because as an 18-year-old and then married, he couldn't become an apprentice, because an apprentice, you couldn't be a married man to become an apprentice. And so being a married man at 18 already, his life choices were limited. And so going into the stage and acting was one of the things that was open to him. And the rest is history.
It so is. I mean, can you imagine that, John? Like, you're either married to your job or married to a woman in those days, Elizabethan times, Elizabethan one. He's talking to his parents, like, okay, fantastic. You've got Anne pregnant. You married at 18, and what, you want to become an actor?
Well, his choices were limited because he couldn't apprentice. Well, his father had a very successful. He was a leather worker. He made gloves and all kinds of leather goods, and so we could have had Shakespeare the Leatherman, or Shakespeare the Bard.
Well, amazing. You are clearly soaking up that British history, which has nothing to do with the Iberian Peninsula. However, there are a lot of Englishmen and women living on the Iberian Peninsula. There is that connection. I think there are about 27 million Brits living in Spain. So there is a connection. But let's dwell in the UK for a little bit longer before we talk to you about your experiences of the beauty of where you live in Portugal and the proximity to Spain. But look at this. Here you are enjoying breakfast this morning. That is like a tea room. Is that where you're staying at the moment? It's beautiful, isn't it? Are you there, John?
I'm here. Can you see me?
Yeah, I can. I'm just showing you at the breakfast table there. I'm not sure if you can see that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And of course, the obligatory full English. Can you talk us through that, John? I so want to eat that right now. And we think we've got. I'll talk you through it, because I think John's frozen up in York, where I think he is at the moment. Look at that. We've got a fried egg, which is perched on top of the bacon, I think there. I'm hearing you again, John. I'm just talking everybody through the English breakfast. With tea. Good to see you've got tea rather than coffee there. You've got a glass of milk, which is a slightly unusual choice. That might be a slightly American twist in there.
A little bit more of a John choice. I'm a milkaholic.
Okay, all right. But you got some good sausage, toast, hash browns, a little bit of American influence going on here. The beans there, a tomato in half. We've been talking about tomatoes already. Was that good? It looks divine to me, quite frankly.
Yeah, a good old English breakfast can't be beat, but I can't eat them every day. As I was saying this morning, it's like I'm just going to get bloated if I have them every day. So I limited myself to once a week.
Yes.
At least while I'm here. So
yeah, you must. Oh, it looks fantastic. Let's have a look at some of your pictures then. I think this was that's Wales, isn't it? Rather than
That's
England.
Wales. That's Carnarvon Castle.
Carnarvon Castle.
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful.
And we stayed in that little white inn there at the foot of it.
Oh, okay. How lovely. That's a beautiful building, isn't it? Fantastic. I'm feeling a little bit homesick looking at all of this. There we go. Another aspect, I think, of the same. Is that Carnarvon as well?
That's Carnarvon, yep.
Yeah, okay. And it's fantastic, isn't it? Look at that vista. I think Coach Turner, if he's with us, will be enjoying that. I think it's a land of his fathers as well, or maybe the mother's side. But to look at this is Lake District, got to be
Lake District. Yeah, this is the West Lake District, so it's the Lake District without the lakes.
Just the district then. And these lovely mossy dry stone walls that are characteristic of that area.
So soft.
And so peaceful. It looks beautifully peaceful there. And then you set your eyes on a swelling organ, I think. Is that inside?
Yeah, this is in York Minster.
Yeah.
And I think Prince Charles will be here for Maundy Thursday. Actually, as part of Easter week.
Right. So you've warmed up for the King.
We were there last night actually for Evensong and what do they call the 7:30 service? But anyway, Johann Sebastian Bach, sung by a beautiful choir. It was wonderful. Yeah,
I bet. Superb. Okay, and then we're going into the streets of York, I think, here, aren't we? A scene from Harry Potter.
Diagonally.
And is that what it's based on? Is that where she got her inspiration?
Oh yeah, definitely. This is where Diagon Alley was inspired by, and they make full advantage of that with wand shops and things like that. So this was taken on a Sunday. We went there yesterday, Monday, and it was packed. So it's quite touristy, but it deserves it. So we'll let it go.
Of course. And then another view, I think.
Yeah. There's the shop that must not be named.
Isn't that beautiful? I very rarely miss the UK, but when I see these, I can almost smell the streets, and I can smell the inside of a British pub. Have you managed to have a nice pint yet, John, in England?
Oh yeah, I'm more of a confessions time. I'm more of a half pint.
But after bloating up on an English breakfast, there's only capacity for a half. Okay. But I mean, you have one or two halves, I take it, and just take your time, or is that all you've got the space for?
Just take my time. But I'm not a pub expert, so it took a little getting used to. Like at the Rugglestone Inn, you definitely a left foot out there when you walk in out of the blue. You walk into one of these pubs. You have to understand the Rugglestone Inn is miles from anywhere.
Yeah.
And the only roads into this place. Now, Carl used to be the mailman for this area, so that's why right. I went there. And you were how long were you the mailman there?
I don't know. I think I've done it for. I was the relief driver, so I did 3 different rounds on there, so the guys could have a day off. I was doing, I think, a 4-day week driving around the Devonshire countryside. I did that for about 18 months, I think.
Yeah, there's only one road in and out of this place. It's not a place where you drive through and then you keep going. You go there and that's where you're going, and the roads are no wider than your car, and so. You just hope that you're not running into anybody else. So we have Winnie the Pooh outside.
Winnie the Pooh, yeah, and that, I mean, this is one of my favourite pubs, and that's why I recommend it to you on the Dartmoor there, but not far from the Hound of the Baskervilles where that was set and inspired. And then you step inside to the low ceiling. When I first used to go to this pub, there were kegs behind the bar. Have they still got kegs in there, or is it all draft now?
It looks mostly draft, but it's one of the places where you walk in and everybody looks at you like, who are you?
American Werewolf in London. I think it's just like that in there.
Yeah. And they're not going to come to you to ask you what you want. They're this is where you go up to the bar and you tell them what you want, kind of thing.
Yeah, wonderful.
So
it sounds like you're having a great time. Yeah, having a wonderful time over there. Give my love to my native UK. Owen is here and asking a question. This is a good one. Of course, Dartmoor there is in the southwest, but you've made your way up to York. You're in the north of England. How does the north of England compare to the north of Portugal? So let's bring it back to Portugal today.
I kind of have a hard time making that comparison because obviously I've only been here for up to the north of England for well, let's see, Wales, Lake District, and now so it'll be 5 days. But that's just not long enough to make a judgment call. And it's been wet a lot of the time with that we've been here. But to be honest, the north of England, at least for these 2 weeks, has been much sunnier than the south of England. So I'd say the weather is better up north. But a lot of England, just in terms of impressions, sheep and the countryside is just there's a loveliness and a gentleness about the British countryside and the farming communities and the importance that is placed on rural farming in England. At least that's from my impression as a non-Brit. Yeah. I've really appreciated it. I mean, I grew up a bit English, but overseas. So I grew up in Singapore, Malaysia, British. So I was kind of a colony raised Brit, not the mainland, not the island. So it's been great kind of learning to appreciate the island more. And interesting little side impressions here. They really love their dogs. Pretty much every restaurant that you go to is dog friendly, and dogs there. Pam jumped out of her skin a few times with dogs barking right behind her in the pub or wherever. So that was quite nice. Sidewalk walking here is a bit of a challenge.
Well, at least we've got them though, John. We have got pavements. You don't always find them in America, do you?
No, but it's the whole right-left thing, because obviously we all know that Brits drive on the wrong side of the road. So it's obviously not the right side; it's the other side. But then that correlates to how they walk on sidewalks. So you're typically supposed to be, or at least intuitively or instinctively, most would then be walking on the left when you're passing somebody. But the problem is that most foreigners that are visiting English are used to driving on the right and walking on the right. And so walking on the sidewalks is a mixture of people not knowing what side I'm supposed to be walking on. Yes. Because you can kind of tell whether you're walking towards a Brit or towards a foreigner because of what side of the sidewalk they're walking on. Yeah, and so you're playing a little bit of dodgems all the time.
Very annoying. Yes. Will you just stay in lane and decide what you're doing and don't just stop suddenly? But maybe that's
but Brits themselves are schizophrenic about it, because if you're going through the underground in London, the signs in the walkways say walk on the right.
Yeah,
that shouldn't be right. It should be walk on the left. It's like make up your own mind. So why are you telling these people to walk on the right?
The fiercely independent Brits will do their own thing anyway, and they've got a lot on their mind at the moment. And apparently, look, you've upset a Brit here. We drive on the correct or right side, says Carl Hyde, point of order, chairman.
But literally, you're not on the right side.
Okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring you back to the Iberian Peninsula. And I really appreciate you being on tour here and still tuning in and being with us this morning, John. It's fantastic. And thank you for the slideshow of England. It's been lovely for me as an Englishman to see that, or certainly to someone raised in that country. It's delightful to see those wonderful pictures. And I want to talk to you, if I may, in the last part of this, the Iberian FM Phone-in, which we brought forward a little bit because we need to finish around 10 this morning. But your experiences of going to, well, whether you're Iberian or not, of course you love Portugal, and you've made.
I am Iberian.
Iberian or
Iberian?
You Iberian. Yeah. Now, you've taken advantage, it would seem, of this this 2-for-1 country offer here. Was that part of your plan when you were thinking about moving to Portugal? Were you thinking, Spain is next door, I'm going to have a bit of that as well?
Absolutely was not part of the plan.
Oh, okay.
It was a pleasant side effect. So we did intend to be up north. That was our preference, plainly for geography and climate and that sort of thing. But as Tony was alluding to, it's so conveniently close to Spain, and you're right in between two international airports. So you have Porto, which is less than an hour to the south, and then you have Vigo, which is only an hour to the north.
Yeah.
And so I think Tony's right in Valencia, so he's right on the Minho, right on the border. But from Ponte De Lima, it's 20 minutes up to the border, and then it's just drive across the bridge, and then you're in Tui, and then find your way to the highway, and go through over the mountain to Vigo, which is down beautiful. There's coastal islands off of there. The view from up on the mountaintops down to look towards Vigo is beautiful. So like I said, it's a pleasant experience and surprise to be able to conveniently go to Spain and experience the different cultures. So yes, it is Spain, but it's also very proudly Galician, and that area of Spain known as Galicia speaks yes, they speak Spanish, but they all speak Galician as well, which is very much like Portuguese. So the Portuguese language and Galician, it used to be all one language, and so they can understand each other on that end of things. So, and they also share a Celtic heritage as well.
Interesting. And of course, you've got all the border action, haven't you? Whenever there are borders, life, I think, is a little bit more interesting, isn't it? It's like in nature, where the land meets the sea, where the forest meets the open land. Something interesting happens. And clearly you've experienced this. And that's what I want to ask you about, if I may, this morning as well, is the experience of going from Portugal into Spain. Now, some might think, okay, I'm about to take my passport, all my documents. There may be a rigorous border control here, and I need to take my my Spanish Portuguese phrase book and prepare myself for this journey across the border. Is that how it is?
Not at all. No,
right, okay, you drive or walk across. That's it.
Yeah, the first time I came up here, I came to up to Spain was last October, and Owen was with me. And we just did it on a lark. We were going up just to play around in Valencia, actually. But then it's like, well, hey, we're here, so let's just go, let's see what happens. So we drove across, and it's an EU country. It's all part of Schengen zone, so there's no border control. There's no border guards or anything like that. I did need to fill up at the station there, so the petrol was a little bit cheaper, and they were speaking Spanish at the station in terms of when you're receiving your change or asking how much something is. So had to drag out a little bit of my Spanish. Of course, they just spoke English then, but one of the things, well, this is, I guess, a little bit Portuguese as well too, but one of the things that I find annoying is that almost any time that you're ready to either make a turn off of whatever road it is. So if you're just on a regular national road, or if you're on a motorway, invariably, whatever turn it is that you're about to make, there's another one just before it. And if you make the wrong one, you're in trouble. So I was trying to take Pam. So anyway, when I was with Owen, we went on this lovely mountain road that took us up and over, and then towards Vigo. And I think I sent you a picture of that. But I was trying to take Pam to the same place, and of course there's a turn off of so I'm trying to follow Google Maps or whatever, and so there's a turn. So unless you're really zoomed in to the micro level, you're not going to really see the difference. And so it just said, in 200 yards, make a right. And so it's like, okay, well, make a right. But of course, there's another right. That the one I was supposed to do is the next one. So I took the right, and that put me on this freeway. And the next, there's no exit. And the next way to get off is 20 miles or 40 kilometers further. So it's like I was already halfway to Vigo on the highway by the time I could get off somewhere. So it's like, oh, I'll just forget it. We'll just go around and come back over the mountain the long way. So so it seems like whether you're in Portugal or Spain, it's the same kind of thing.
I've had that happen. Yeah. And the problem, of course, many times is how long it takes for that English woman to say the instructions. So, she'll be saying like, at the next junction of Rua Vasca da Gama, and you've already driven past it by the time she's got, she spat
get
out
on
the whole.
with it.
Yeah, that's right. Can't slow down. Yeah, I know that feeling and how that navigation works.
Oh, I'm always cross with that Google lady because she's trying to pronounce all these street names. It's like nobody cares. It's like just tell me whether they go right or left. It's like you can't.
Let me do that again. Rua Vasca da Gama. Yes. John, this is
the name of the road's not on the street anyway. So. Exactly.
So that's something to watch out for.
Small. So
when you're negotiating Spain and Portugal, watch out, as you must do in Portugal, for sometimes a dodgy bit of Google navigation that can have you driving to Italy or France by mistake. Any other observations then? So clearly driving in and out of Portugal to Spain is not a problem. It's very easy.
It's very easy. I did have my passport with me, but that's just because I always do. But one of the things, just keeping an eye out for just geography and architecture and things, we were remarking on the way back from Vigo back to Tui, how many of the buildings were made with granite, so big granite blocks. So the entire structure of the house was in granite, which it was quite lovely. So as you know, in places in Portugal, there's houses built with like slate, but up there was there's a very common architecture to have the whole house built with granite stone.
And that's quite outstanding, isn't it, when you see it gleaming? Because it's got sparkle to it, isn't it? It's like a bit like Devon. There's a lot of granite buildings there.
Yeah, and I think that's something that everyone should be mindful of when you're driving around different regions and places in Europe, whether it's Portugal or Spain or France or Germany. I mean, there's so many different micro regions where the architecture has an influence from this thing or the other, or it's whether it's a particular geographic difference or other circumstance. But there's even like in France with the Loire Valley and the type of stone that they built their palaces from is it's unique to that. So when you're going to different regions, keep your heart and your mind and your soul open to learning these things that you just might take for granted.
What lovely advice. There's a man who's traveled the world extensively, enjoying England at the moment, and delighted to live in Portugal, and an accidental Iberian by the sound of it then, John. Didn't plan on being close to Spain and enjoying that, but there you go. You've got a free gift thrown in.
Yeah. And the Spaniards, the Galatians, they come down to Ponte De Lima all the time. So we have a biweekly Monday market, and it's quite well known throughout the region. And so a lot of the Spaniards come down, and so it's quite a show. People driving their fancy cars and you're out having a coffee or tea or donata on the riverfront there, and you see the people driving by with their. Sometimes it's funny with we saw a fully kitted out, beautiful Packard You see all these old restored vehicles. So it's like a bit of a show off for them to be what in America we call it cruising, where they drive by in their fancy cars and their kitted out restored vehicles, and it's quite nice.
Amazing.
So it's not touristy in the American sense. It's sort of local touristy. So it's
life on the borders. It's life on the border, isn't it? There's just something exciting about the border where cultures meet. And you make a great point about the microcultures and what happens there, the fertile ground of cultures meeting. I love it, John. We've got to finish there this morning. Thank you so much for connecting from the UK and sharing your experiences about being a newly Portuguese resident and enjoying what Spain has to offer across the border. Gilchrist is here. Lord Gilchrist, I've considered my position on being Iberian. I'm still Portuguese, so Bi-European. That's a new demographic, isn't it? A Bi-European. Sounds like somebody, it sounds very pen-based to me, a Bi-European, doesn't it? Excellent stuff, John. Let me just share three dad jokes with you. Is that several or many? I don't know. I was sitting around. I'm surprising you with these. I was sitting around doing nothing and got arrested for impersonating a politician. Ooh, biting satire. More of that. Last night, Sue's saying, thank you for a very interesting show. It's been very diverse this morning. Last night, I was visited by a scary ghost wearing lederhosen and playing the accordion. I think it was the poltergeist.
That's a good one.
That is a good one, isn't it? Maybe you can share that with Pam when we've finished here. Guess what, Pam? What? Have you been listening to those dad jokes again? My teacher told me not to worry about spelling because in the future there will be autocorrect. For that, I'm eternally grapefruit. Very good. Cheers, John. Where are you off to now? How are you doing the rest of your day?
We're going to do a little bit of a river cruise on whatever the local river is here. And then they have a very large railroad museum here. So I'm a bit of a railroad buff.
Oh, York, of course they do.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we're going on a haunted, dark and deathly walkabout, 90-minute night walk. It's let's see.
What fun. Fantastic.
This, hold on.
We're with you.
I got the...
Look at that. The Deathly Dark Tour of York. It's Dorian Deathly's Deathly Dark Tour. Beautiful. That sounds like a lot of fun.
So you have a lot of fun ghost tours and things. So we're going to try
Sweeney Todd. Was Sweeney Todd? Oh, no, Sweeney Todd was in London, not York. Have a great day, John. Enjoy the rest of your trip in the UK. Send my love to the UK. And we'll see everyone tomorrow with the Michael Heronius Maximus, of course, on a Wednesday. Some lovely shadows falling across your room in the quaint architecture of York there. Absolutely wonderful. Love to Pam. Thank you, John. Thank you so much. Bye for now.
Love you all, Dumpers. Bye.
Cheers, mate. So we'll see you. We'll see you at the Portugal Club tonight or with Michael Herron in the morning. Take care and bye for now.